Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live episode. Yung tatalakayin natin ngayon is the one that I promised you, I think 2 weeks ago. So, medyo na-delay tayo. You know how busy we are. And of course, galing tayo ng ating retreat in which na kahit pa sabihin natin it's not really a work. But I think we all know now na yung kailangan talaga natin is to prioritize our mental health. Okay? So, being on that retreat is still parang part of the real schedule talaga. So, I hope you are all there. Yung unang itatakol natin today is actually about the challenges of how to stay low carb. So, we already have a low carb na concept before wherein how to stay low carb kahit kumakain sa labas. So I think it was when I was eating outside. So the simple tricks on how to stay low carb even if you are eating outside, but at the same time there will be challenges din na nasa bahay lang. So para sa mga mommies, I think maraming nag-comment noon when I posted the things that makes it challenging for us on staying low carb. So for my brother who is waiting downstairs, you have to wait because I am already doing live. Tatapusin muna natin to. It's not gonna be long. It's going to be quick lang. Pero I want to share with you certain tips, no, based on my experience and at the same time based on the experiences din ng mga ka-community natin. So the challenges when staying low carb kapag nasa bahay, dalawa. The first one is if you are the one preparing the food for a family that's eating high carb. Kahit ikaw naka low carb and then yung buong pamilya mo hindi naka low carb. So yun yung isa sa pinakamahirap. Because even if as much as you are a believer of low carb, as much as alam mo talaga na hindi na talaga dapat i-araw-arawin yung rice, na hindi talaga siya ganun ka-beneficial, yet yung pamilya, yung asawa mo, yung mga anak mo, or rarely, kasi mas marami sa community natin ang mga mommies and mga babae, kababaihan. I think it's just around 20 to 30% yung mga lalaki. And it goes the same way with them. Yung problema nga nila, because their family is so used to offering them high carb foods, ay nahihirapan na silang mag-say no. But now we will tackle first sa mga nagpre-prepare sa family ng food wherein sila yung nagpre-prepare ng high carb meals para sa kanilang pamilya. Especially yung may mga kids. I think yung isang problem doon is tinitikman yung pagkain. So, sa pagtikim ng pagkain and also the pressure when you are already at the dining table. Like habang kumakain na kayo, harap-harap na kayo sa pagkainan, ikaw lang yung hindi kumakain ng high carb. And that also translates into somewhat pressure din because we love our family. At saka iba talaga kapag kumakain kayo ng sabay-sabay, mas masarap kumain, ika nga. Yet, we know that yung kung sasarap lang ng pagkain, tapos na tayo dyan. We've already enjoyed a lot of food in our lifetime na ngayon, yung priority natin actually is to improve our health. And no good food can really not wait, no? Lahat ng pagkain, just like so many things in the world that is deserving for us, especially the ones that are really better, okay? Any food can wait, makakahintay yan. So, isang challenges dyan sa mga mommies, especially na merong mga anak, would be sa pagtikim. Okay? So, yung isang pinaka-importanting concept dyan, you've been cooking all your life. Ikaw na yung nagluluto. Ikaw na yung nagpre-prepare. Yung mga niluluto mo, 80% of the food that you are cooking is just the same 20% of the food that you know. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin, yung niluluto mo, actually, paulit-ulit lang yan. Even if it's variety of food, but generally, yung 80% na hinahain mo, it is actually 20% ng mga alam mong putahe. Meaning, meron lang tayong paborito na parati nating niluluto. So, anong ibig sabihin? If you are already cooking it, like often, ibig sabihin yan, you already know that recipe by heart. Okay? All you need to do is to trust yourself. Personally, I cook. So, I think among us siblings, lima kami. Ako yung pinakamahilig magluto. I think I've been cooking as early as elementary siguro. And I developed, aside from the fact na ano ako, hindi ako ganun ka-studious when it comes to making things up, appropriate talaga, yung eksaktong-eksakto. Mahilig ako sa tansya technique, no? And eventually, what I do, whenever I cook, kapag naglalagay ako ng salt, for example, the moment I put salt, nalalasahan ko siya sa aking panlasa. Like, the moment I put it, nalalasahan ko na parang mas umaalat, mas umaalat, mas umaalat, and then I stop. When I can already imagine na kung sosobrahan ko pa dyan, magiging maalat na. And I'm sure you also have that skill. Kaya lang, hindi lang kayo ganun ka-mindful. Hindi nyo pa ika nga na maximize o na identify that that thing can exist. Just like all the other spices, kapag nagtitimpla kayo, you know kung anong lasa niyan. And you know what it will do to the food. So, hindi nyo na kailangang tikman pa. If that is if you are fasting, okay? But if you are not fasting naman, you can of course taste it para masigurado ka nga. Just know na you can already maximize your fasting window or your eating window kahit hindi mo sila nilalasahan. Your recipe, you know them by heart. Hindi na kailangang excuse na titikman mo. And if ever man, na tumikim ka talaga, I have an aunt, I'm not sure if she's watching, but she's usually watching from Puerto Rico. She's actually a baker. She is a baker of healthy cookies. So she cooks keto, she bakes low carb goodies, and she also adapts based sa demand ng kanyang clientele. Like the clientele would like to have a vegan cake or a vegetarian cake or a gluten-free cake, gumagawa din siya. But personally, nagpa-practice siya ng low carb. And how about kung meron siyang order ng vegan food? So vegan food doesn't need to be low carb. In general, even most vegan and vegetarian foods are very high in carbohydrates kasi nga these are mostly plant-based and most plant-based foods are mostly carbohydrates. So kung anong ginagawa niya, especially that this is for her business na kailangan talaga niyang tikman, kumukuha siya ng isa. At first, meron pala siyang taga-tikim. So I think his son and her son and her husband, sila yung taster. No? Sila yung unang-unang tumitikim ng kanyang luto. But if they are not around, siya mismo yung tumitikim. And then what she does is just put it in her tongue, ninunguya niya, and that's already good enough para malasahan niya. And if she is still fasting, kasi she is, I'm sure she is, last time we talked, yung kanyang minimum fasting is around 16 hours, 16 to 18 hours, and most of the orders are in the morning. So, kailangan niya talagang tikman. So, yung ginagawa niya, kumukuha siya ng maliit, ninunguya, nilalasahan, and then niluluwa niya. So, she has to spit it out and then cleanse her mouth with either water or tea. Because, para sa mga beginners pa lang when it comes to intermittent fasting, you are allowed to drink water, tea, coffee. Plain, walang sugar, walang cream. Okay? So those drinks you can take hot, cold, or you can even add some electrolytes. Okay? So salt, cream of tartar for some sources of potassium, some Epsom salt kung gusto niyo ng merong magnesium, or magnesium drops. So meron din tayong ganong ginagamit. So those are the things that you can do. So if ever you need to taste, pwede kayong mag-taste ng kakaunti and then you can spit it out. That way, hindi nyo siya malulunok. Kung meron mang mga kakaunting effect dyan, what we consider as cephalic effect of food. Ano yung cephalic effect ng food? The cephalic effect of food is kahit hindi pa siya umabot sa iyong tiyan, hindi pa siya umabot sa iyong intestines, but sa utak pa lang, okay, the mere stimulation, the mere thought nga of food minsan nakaka-excrete na yan ng nakaka-trigger na yan ng digestive enzyme and secretions of gastric acid. 'Di ba nga, try to imagine kapag isip kayo ng sobrang hilaw, yung sobrang asim na mangga, 'di ba? Lumalabas yung laway ninyo. That is what we call as cephalic effect of food. And how much more kapag nilagay nyo niya sa ilong dila. So for those who are very, very strict, of course, it's better to not put anything in your tongue or in your mouth. But for those naman na wala namang serious illness talaga, very serious need for healing, pwede namang ma-accommodate yung mga tasting session na yon, no? Para malasahan nyo lang. And if ever, kailangan talagang lunukin, okay? If ever kailangan lunukin, eto, I think I posted it a couple of months ago para sa mga bakers dyan, sa mga nagluluto dyan, na nagsasabing, kailangan kong tikman yung luto kong, for example, pandesal, okay? Kung kailangan mong tikman yung luto mong pandesal, like say, for quality check, or kung ano mang excuse ninyo, kung tikim, tikim lang. One bite is enough. Isang maliit na bite lang, okay na. Hindi kailangang ubusin ang buong pandesal. Okay? So we have to be clear. Kung kailangan yung tumikim, hindi kailangan whole slice. Kung pwede nga lang yung isang kutsarita, kalahati, or one-fourth, or one-eighth ng isang kutsarita. Kasi tikim lang naman talaga. Quality testing is just sampling. Okay? Kukuha ka lang ng sample dyan. Hindi kailangan kukuha ka dito, kukuha ka dito, kukuha ka dito, kukuha ka dito. You are already like eating. Okay? So that's one technique. You have to trust yourself that you already know your recipe. And also, you have to consider your goal. You have to have the proper mindset. Kailangan talaga, alam mo na hindi ka magpapapressure lang. And if you are doing it for the sake of healing, kasi nga naniniwala ka that low carb is healthy, that this is where you feel good, yung mga sakit na kailangan mong i-address is already there, no? Na pwede mo siyang ma-address, and you see our community, the low carb feasting and fasting community and life without rice, people are healing. Sobrang ang dami nang nawala yung gamot. Of course, with the proper guidance, with proper supervision and enough knowledge, nagawa nila yon successfully. And I also know na kung gusto mong gumaling, of course, gusto mo ring gumaling yung pamilya mo. That's why you are first doing it, di ba? I think with the mindset, we already made that clear na yung pinaka-importante talaga is for us to know kung ano yung ating pinaka-goal why we are doing this. And of course, it is for our health, and next, for the things that we love, the people that we love, the cause that we believe in. Because kahit gaano pa natin kamahal yung ginagawa natin sa buhay at gaano pa natin kamahal yung mga tao sa buhay natin, if we are not first taking care of ourselves, then hindi mo silang kayang mahalin ng mas matagal, because it will only be a matter of time na ikaw mismo ay magkakasakit na din. So mindset is important, but after that one, you have to consider. Kasi if na-pressure ka lang kumain ng high carb kasi magkakasama kayo ng inyong pamilya, how do you think you can ever convince them to join you? How do you think, is it possible na sasamahan kanila when you yourself is not doing it, is not practicing what you preach? Kung nakikita nila na pabago-bago yung attitude mo, yung pabago-bago yung habits mo, at kakaunting pressure lang ay bumibigay ka, how do you think you can influence them when what they see is someone na hindi din pala ganon ka-committed? So, saying no to them actually is also providing that opportunity for them to join you. Mas malaki yung chance na maisama mo sila sa way of life na to, na mas ma-convince mo sila if you are being consistent yourself. So every time, next time around na magkasama kayong kumain, even if you are still the one preparing food for them, kahit pa kailang ka magsaing, even if you are a Life Without Rice member for 2 years na, it's okay. We don't judge. Alam natin na meron talaga tayong mga responsibilities in life. And part of that ay magsaing para sa pamilya natin na hindi pa talaga makalet go ng rice. And it's okay. But if you are serious when it comes to healing, when it comes to possibly improving your health by removing all the carbs, no? The healing that we encounter, yung sinasabi nating the need to get out of harvest season. Yung harvest season, yun yung parati nating sinasabi na it's that time na kung saan for the longest time since nabuhay tayo, we are eating mostly carbohydrates. We are eating mostly sugar. We are fueling on sugar. Yung katawan natin, sanay na ang ginagamit na energy ay sugar lang. Para sa mga baguhan na nanonood po, hello, I hope this may not come as a surprise, no? Baka hindi nyo maintindihan what am I talking about. Para sa mga newbies na ngayon pala nakakita, hello, ako po si Dr. Rojo. And what I advocate is a low carb nutrition. Yung low carb nutrition, mababa sa carbohydrates. So, yung pinaka number one question dyan, so saan ako makukuha ng energy kung wala na akong kakaining bigas, wala na akong kakaining kanin, manghihina ako? It is because yung katawan natin is not only capable of breaking down glucose as energy, kayang-kaya niya pong mas mag-operate ng mas maganda if yung gagamitin niyang fuel is medyo yung sabihin nating better performance fuel, okay? Yung mas mahal na fuel. And what is that fuel? That fuel can actually come from fats, okay? So, kung sa mga ano yan, kung sa mga fuel na nakikita natin, sabihin na natin yung glucose, okay, o yung carbohydrates is parang uling or kahoy. Whereas for fats, ito ay more on gasoline. Okay? So, mas magandang quality siya. O di kaya, you can even say nuclear source of energy, wherein mababa yung kaniyang waste product, mababa yung tawag nating carbon footprint, okay? So, yung kanyang effect o yung basura na ma-develop when using that kind of energy is actually mas malinis as compared when you use uling or kahoy na panggatong. You will be left with so many carbon because glucose is a 5 carbon ring na molecule, okay? And that's why kapag parati tayo nagpo-fuel on glucose, doon na nagkakasakit yung tao. So, it will have yung tawag nating ROS, reactive oxygen species, okay? Ito yung nakakadulot ng tinatawag nating oxidative stress. And when there is oxidative stress sa katawan, it is already prone to inflammation, prone na ito sa injury, prone na ito sa pamamaga. Just like nasusugatan yung kamay natin, merong mga microscopic na sugat na nangyayari sa loob-loob natin. And that can lead into dysfunction. Pwede tayong magkaproblema sa mata, pwede tayong maging makakalimutin, pwede tayong madaling kabahan, pwede tayong madaling nervyusin, pwede tayong tumaas yung BP natin, pwedeng tumaas yung ating blood sugar, pwedeng mamaga yung joints natin, parating merong sakit sa katawan na hindi mawari kung saan. And speaking of pain, no, I just have to tell you na when I had my retreat last week, okay, yung isang pinakamagandang services nila doon that they are very known at is actually their spa. Okay, sobrang ganda daw ng kanilang spa doon. And from day one, gusto-gusto ko talaga sana mag-avail. Kaya lang, wala talaga akong kahit anong body pains. Wala talaga akong kahit anong muscle pains. So, I don't have any excuse. And as much as I can remember, for the longest time, hindi talaga ako nagkakaroon ng mga body aches and pain. And I think I can attribute that to my regular fasting schedule and at the same time, low carb meals. Kasi the moment I eat high carb, pagkagising ko ng umaga, masakit na yan. And I think Maming also, di ba Ming? You are also like that. So, si Maming, so she has friends, sometimes they go out and they go for coffee. So, she is free to eat whatever she wants. And of course, she stays low carb, especially sa bahay. But I will instantly know kapag nakakain ng high carb yan. Kasi kapag titingnan mo siya, kapag umaakyat siya ng hagdanan, hindi na, parang bigla na siyang tumatanda. To think the day before that, she can climb the stairs very easily nang walang problema. Pero pag the moment na, oh, may weights pa, may nagpo-pull ups pa, but alam kong naka-high carb na yan kapag nakakain ng high carb yan, ng cake, especially kapag merong birthday na inatenan, merong kasal. Yun, Ming, no? Birthday. Ano na ba ngayon yung pinupuntahan? Birthday, kasal, o may namamatay. Yun lang yung gathering na talaga. Okay, pero so alam ko na nakakain siya ng bawal kasi kitang-kita ko talaga biglang nagkakaroon ng pananakit ng katawan and that is inflammation. And if we only fuel on ketones and fatty acids coming from fats, galing sa taba, either sa taba na kinakain natin o sa taba na nasa katawan natin, then we are actually having better chances of healing and lowering our inflammation. So that's why you have to stay focused. Hindi dahil dumating yung anak mo, galing siya sa trabaho at gusto mo siyang sabayan sa kanyang pagkain, ay kakainin mo na lahat ng pasalubong niyang ensaymada, lahat ng cake na dala niya, o hindi kaya mag-open kayo ng soft drinks. You have to stay focused because whenever you stay focused, you are not just doing it for yourself, but you are also doing it for your loved ones and your family. Na eventually, if only you become consistent, okay? Kapag naging consistent ka lang, mas malaking chance na isasama mo na rin sila. Okay? So, yun yung pinaka-gist when it comes to you preparing your meals. Kung ikaw mismo ang taga-prepare ng pagkain. One way also to make it easier is for you to do some intermittent fasting. Okay? So kahit yung minimum lang na 12, 14, or 16 hours, and I think a good friend of mine, Coach Hera, she is a financial consultant. If you need advice on finances, you can check her out. Sobrang galing po siyang mag-coach when it comes to finances. And we've been together in this low carb journey for almost around the same time. When I published my book, mga around 3, 4 months when I started, way back 2019, isa siya sa mga first na nagbasa. I think PDF pa nun, ebook pa lang, nagbasa na siya. And she was already breastfeeding then, but she was able to overcome talaga intermittent fasting and low carb eating. Okay? So, for those naman na nagbe-breastfeed or pregnant, no forced fasting ha. Ito lang yon. Walang pwersahang fasting, but wala ring excuse to overeat. Okay? So just eat whenever your body feels or tells you that you need to eat, that you are really nutritionally hungry. Okay? So if you can actually incorporate fasting, say for example, 16, 18 hours, kapag nakaya nyo na yan, sobrang wala na. Especially if makaya nyo magluto while on fasting mode. Okay? And meron akong mindset dyan. For those of you who have read book 1, I think I've explained it there, na minsan yung mga tao, ayaw nilang makaamoy ng pagkain while they are fasting kasi mas nagugutom sila o di kaya parang mas natitempt sila. But for me, I'm not into the habit of avoidance kasi. As much as possible, I face things head on. No? Hindi ako nag-avoid talaga. Hindi ako naghahanap ng away ha, but if I'm faced with a challenge, I don't really back down. Okay? I don't back down. So, part of that, kapag merong pagkain na sa harap ko, especially when I am fasting, I don't avoid it. Actually, I can savor it. Pwede ko siyang langhapin, pwede ko siyang amuyin, and I can savor the flavor, and I am thankful and grateful na alam ko kung anong lasa niya. I am savoring and maximizing the idea na wala na akong na-miss na pagkain because I exactly know how that food tastes. Okay? It's a food memory. And we have to be grateful for food memory kasi alam na natin. And if we only focus deeply on it and really think it out, okay, mai-imagine mo talaga, you can almost taste it. And that alone, after nyan, inom ka lang ng tubig, you will feel satisfied. You will surprisingly feel satisfied. Trust me. And para naman sa mga pagkaing hindi mo pa natikman, okay, another mindset for that, you are not missing anything. Anyway, you are never sure kung masarap talaga yan o hindi. And that food can wait if ever talaga gusto mo siyang tikman. So, sinasabi natin, is it window worthy? Yun yung tinatanong namin. I think it's my sister who is very fond of traveling before, and during the last years na nagta-travel na we are already fasting. So, we make sure na kung kakain kami when we are, for example, abroad or in a new place, na merong mga delicacy, so hindi kami kumakain na just because kakain na kami kasi merong itlog. Of course not. Yung itlog, makakain mo yan anytime, anywhere. That's why if on special occasions, like when we're traveling, meron kaming iniisip, is this food window worthy? Worthy ba siya na i-open ko yung window ko sa ganito? Okay? So, save it for something special. That way, you can enjoy more of your food. And sa pag-enjoy mo ng food na yan, you are also enjoying more of life. Okay? So, sobrang ganda yung experience na yan. So, akala ng iba, when we do low carb and when we do IF, is parang we make our self suffer. Akala nila nagde-deprive tayo sa ating sarili. But what they don't know is actually we are experiencing the goodness and the pleasure of food 100 times, 10 times, 50 times, whatever. Ang point dito is mas nasi-savor natin yung food because we know that eating this food, hindi lang siya basta basta madali lang. It's not just a routine. It's not just hinain o yung part lang ng everyday. Food, when you do low carb and fasting, becomes a totally different experience talaga. Yun yung sabi natin, when we do low carb and fasting, eating is no longer just eating for survival, but it is a celebration of life. Yun yung pagkain natin. And that's why, ngayon actually, we are about to have dinner outside. Okay, nag-decide kami, kakain kami ngayon sa labas for some celebration and another celebration of life. So, wait, before we end yung isang challenge na nasa bahay, kung ikaw ay taga-kain lang. So, usually, kung ikaw ay anak, or maybe the parent who is very dependent sa niluluto ng kanilang anak, okay? But generally, yung walang say kung ano yung niluluto, okay? So, ano yung gagawin? O, meron pang, I think, meron pang isa doon, na nakikitira lang. Nakikitira lang sila sa kanilang kamag-anak, o di kaya sa uncle or auntie, o yung estudyante pa na nakikitira lang. So, syempre, no, mahiya naman tayo. Nakikitira na nga lang tayo, tapos choosy pa tayo sa food, no? So, hindi rin tayo pwede niyan. But, that's also the reason why you have to know our safe list by heart. Okay? So, yung food list natin, meron dyan safe, caution, and danger list. Okay? And when you focus on the safe list, hindi ka makakakita ng pagkain na walang safe list. So, as much as yung usual Pinoy na pagkain ay merong caution and danger list, like merong kanin, merong mga pansit, merong noodles, merong mga patatas, okay? But they are not isolated. Meron ka pa rin makakain. May gulay usually yung pagkain Pinoy. At most importantly there, yung pinaka-importante dyan, merong karne, merong protein. So, pwede siyang baboy, manok, isda, itlog, okay? A very basic egg, okay? A very basic egg and meat, you can already be full. At yung sinasabi naman na baka mahiya naman ako kasi puro ulam yung kinakain ko. Hindi mo rin ganon kadadamihan, especially if you're eating 3 times a day. Imaginein mo lang, if you're eating 3 times a day, so kakaunti. Especially if kailangan kang sumabay sa kumakain ng usual food na 3 times a day. So, hindi kailangan marami. What you usually see in our groups no, na Life Without Rice, na medyo marami yung serving ng food, it's because most of us are eating either 1 meal or 2 meals a day only. Hindi kami nagsasnacks, okay? So, that's why medyo marami. But actually, kung i-divide mo siya into 3, kakaunti lang yon. Mas marami ka pa nga sigurong kinakain in your 2 meals as compared to our 1 meal. Okay? It's just that it's dispersed. And when we do intermittent fasting, doing OMAD, 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, so it's mostly proteins. And as kita ko lang kanina, if ever you feel like you have the need to have snacks, kapag in the middle of in the middle of the afternoon, no, you feel like kailangan mong kumain ng snacks pang in between meals, isa daw yung ibig sabihin yan. And that is you didn't consume enough meat and proteins during your last meal. Okay? Because when you only when you consume enough proteins, hindi mo na kailangan pang mag-snack. Enough proteins, you can last the next day. You can last for many hours. Many hours as compared to you eating 2, 3, or even 5 pandesal. O di kaya yung paborito nga. Hindi ko makikita yung comment ngayon but I think, no, kung may magko-comment, meron na naman, paano po yung saging na saba? O anong isang klase? Tundan, lakatan, and all the other saging. Lahat ng saging po, it's mostly carbohydrates. It's very high in carbs. It's very high in sugar, natural sugar in the form of glucose, at meron ding partly fructose. Okay? You can say that it is healthy, okay? Pwede nyong sabihin healthy yan, i-incorporate nyo sa inyong pagkain. So, bahala na kayo. Pwede nyong kainin yung saging, hindi kayo pagbabawalan. But, eto yung but, huwag nyong tawaging low carb yung inyong pagkain, okay? Kasi insulto yan para sa amin, okay? Pwede kayong kumain ng rice, ng red rice, ng black rice, kung gusto nyo. Pero wag na wag nyong i-label ito as low carb. Please, okay? Low carb nutrition is avoidance of these starchy foods and foods that can increase your blood sugar, can increase your insulin, and eventually can have inflammatory effects because mostly of fructose, okay, coming from fruits. too much fruit, okay, and too much white sugar. So, if ever nakadepend kayo sa pagkain sa bahay and you are not the one deciding, maybe, just maybe, this is the right time to consider na baka kailangan ka ng magbuklod ng sarili mo. Try to not depend so much on others, okay? Pwede yan. Even if you are still a student. Kami, we were sent out, I think, as early as high school. Parang I feel like I've been living alone since high school. Kasi nga, busy yung parents ko. They're working in a different city. So, naiiwan ako sa bahay na ako lang. And all of my siblings mas matanda sa akin and they are already from different schools, so nasa ibang city na sila. Ako na lang yung naiwan. So I've been practically living on my own since high school and then college in Cebu and then med school in Cebu. And somewhat, ngayon lang ako umuwi sa aming bahay na meron na akong mama sa bahay. Nandiyan na si maming. Only ngayon na doktor na ako. But before that, I was practically living on my own. And yes, if you are still depending on others for your food, maybe it's high time for you to consider to no longer depend on others for your food. Okay? It doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to be extravagant. Okay? All you need to do is to take responsibility. Okay? Hindi pwedeng iasa natin sa iba yung ang ating pangangatawan, yung ating health. And since we all know now that our food intake has a very big impact when it comes to our health. So might as well start with taking in charge of your food. Okay? Kaya yan. Believe that you can do it and you can certainly do. Tingnan ko, if I can see the comments, hindi talaga, comments will appear here. But, meron to appear. Wala. Hindi ko talaga nakikita yung comments. Anyway, yun yung ano natin. I think next time, if magkakaroon tayo ng time ulit, we will tackle on how to stay low carb while at work, while traveling, and while on occasions, kapag nag-attend ng mga social gatherings. Don't worry, magaling tayo dyan. I'll share with you some tips about that. But for now, no, you empower yourself with knowledge and you do it the right way. Join our Facebook groups kung hindi pa kayo part ng low carb feasting and fasting community. And of course, Life Without Rice. Lahat ng recipe na high carb, meron ng low carb counterpart ngayon. Hindi nga lang ganun kapareho, pero somewhat meron na talaga kung gugustuhin mo lang. And if ever you have problem with guidance, kung medyo nakakalula yung lahat ng mga information na ito, then we also have a program, a masterclass where we guide you. Every Saturday, mostly, I go live there at ine-entertain ko lahat ng questions. Yun nga sabi ng iba, parang online consultations. Kasi yung iba doon, mga patients ko, and that's the time that they get to see me and talk to me and come to our e-studio, yung virtual studio natin, because it's really a community where we support. Right now, I don't accept consultations until further notice, and I only do guidance through our exclusive masterclass group. And if you wish to be a part of that, message nyo lang po yung admins natin. I think there's the one pin posted in our groups, Life Without Rice and Low Carb Feasting and Fasting Community. Si Coach Alvin, Angela, Mabi, and of course Coach Andrew. And we have admin pin as well who is handling the other accounts under my name. And we hope to see you there. But if ever kayo yung mga studios, siguro kayo yung mga honor roll talaga sa inyong klase, that you can do it on your own. Self-study kumbaga. Hindi kailangan ng review center. Okay na okay yan. Everything that you need to know, mostly nandyan na yan sa mga videos natin. You can follow in YouTube, you can subscribe there, or you can just follow the page and make it as your parang favorite yung nakastar, yung see first, para kung merong mga live na katulad nito na hindi ina-announce, na hindi ko rin alam na magla-live pala ako, you will be one of the first to be notified para hindi lang tayo team replay. Okay? So maraming salamat guys. I'll go ahead kasi naghihintay na po yung kuya ko and Maming also is here. Maming, come here para magbabay ka sa kanila. Okay? Maming is here and Maming is so cute. There's Maming! Hi! So, bye-bye everybody!
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good, ano ba tayo ngayon? Tuesday? Happy Tuesday, no? So, always choose low carb, no? Choose low carb, choose well, choose your health, choose yourself. Stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Maraming salamat pa. Goodbye!